Yo, oh, I guess I
Yo,
forgot I had to do the intro. Yo, what up, uMu? What up? What up? What up? What up? So we're gonna change it up a little bit. We had some technical difficulties, so I apologize for being a little tardy on this one. But I promise to y'all, we're gonna give y'all the fire as always and get our honest opinions on everything. So hopefully you all enjoy it, and then as well as always, comment and post. But before we get into that. Joining us from the admin team first, we got our man Mac. Say what up, Mac.
It's good.
And then we got the hype man from the background, good old Key.
What's up, y'all?
Hey. All right. So before I give y'all some opinions, I got to do it in my black voice. So all the views and opinions expressed while streaming on our views and opinions, man, that is worded way. Do not represent the Air Force or any DoD organization. So this is us. This ain't representing nobody else but us. But with that, Keith, tell them a little bit about Hot Topics. Why we do Hot Topics? What's it about? Where do we get these questions from? I mean, let people know who don't.
Absolutely, man. So Hot Topics is actually coming up on a year that we just sporadically just started this the beginning of the year, where we basically take anything that is trending on our page and around the Air Force. But a lot of that stuff comes from the page, and we just come up here and we talk about it more in depth. And it gets really candid. We already are candid on our page, but this allows us to dive in a whole lot deeper and just have authentic conversation. So we, we've been a little busy. So there's things that's going to be coming up from, I want to say we went back a little bit, like September-ish. And there was a lot of things going on where Jay Will was so ready. He's like, when are we doing Hot Topics? I want to do one right now. Let's go.
Let's be honest, man. Like sometimes you be trying to type your response, like, here's my opinion. And I just never feel like I can convey it right on, especially on those unpopular opinion ones. So I'm like, let's get on live and talk about it. Because as willing as y'all are to type some stuff down that can be twisted or misconstrued because you wrote it down, we want to always ensure that y'all know we're willing to get on here and give y'all our opinions as well, because it's supposed to be our space. So
Agreed. And the other big thing is too, like, I know I'm petty. So if somebody doesn't have Grammarly and they got some like bad grammar, I can't even really respond because they grammar bad. Or if it's me and I'm like, dog, autocorrect. So I want to go back and fix it. And at that point, it's like, man, forget it. So yeah, I get it. But we have some really, really good ones today. So drop a line. Let us know that you're there. Make sure you enable StreamYard so we can read your name with your comments and have more of an intimate interaction with you guys. All right. Y'all ready for this?
Hey, man,
and we are missing Black. Black is a little under the weather, so I'm hoping that he does join us. If he doesn't, we totally understand. I was giving the guys a hard time and let them know when guys get sick, it seems like it's either two phases. Either they're going to be a big baby or the Incredible Hulk of like, I got it, leave me alone. And so I feel like we got a little bit of both.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Saying. I mean, sometimes we be about to die, man. Y'all be respectful. That's what I be saying.
Sounds good. All right. So the first one that we're going to start off with is there was a story on the line. There was an NCO. So we're going to somebody his drink. Y'all hear his drink? I hear his drink. So with our first story we're going to bring up is there was an airman on the line, an NCO who came up there for some advice. Her troop came there, and this is something I think that is actually more common, and I'm actually surprised we don't have anything in any of our guidances. If an individual comes to the shop and they don't have a driver's license, and there's some who may not want to have one, because we are definitely a melting pot, as they say. And so with us being a melting pot, if you are from up north and you have public transportation, it's actually not the hype thing to get a license versus if you from down south. I'm from Florida. As soon as you could get a learner's, then it was like, all right, can you drive? That kind of thing. So everybody comes from different walks of life. So the question was, should if you're in an office full of troops, should you basically like make your troops pick up this individual? Should this individual have to give gas? Like, and the crazy thing was there were so many fluid responses from up and down, like different ranks, where individuals like you should, and someone's like you shouldn't. And I definitely want to hear what Jay Will has to say on this first, and then of course we're gonna get with Matt. But gonna put your comments down below and let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, y'all tell us what y'all think about that situation. So my response is layered, right? So I have to start off with, this is one of those stories where it brings me back to NCOs don't feel like they're NCOs, right? And
Right.
we feel like we can't do something or implement something if it's not written in the AFI. Like if it doesn't directly state a member will have a vehicle to transport themselves to and from work, then I can't enforce whatever that is, right? And then most importantly, it's probably a staff sergeant out there who's like, I don't know how to handle this situation. When it's clear as day, here's how I'm going to handle it. Like, I'm going to help you as much as I can, but understand ultimately it's your responsibility. So so the layered part would be the first thing. When I read the conversation and even the responses, I'm just like, why did it even get to this point? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't the NCO? Because I think it was an airman. It was an airman, a junior airman, that would be E4 and below, that didn't have a vehicle, didn't want to get a vehicle or whatever. What was keeping that NCO from letting them know, like, hey, you need to be responsible for your transportation to and from work. I don't care what that is. It could be hoverboard,
Right.
whatever the new trend is. The one wheel that goes on and off road and whatever you want to get. Like, I don't care, but it's your responsibility. We'll help you out, but it's your responsibility. So but that NCO didn't feel empowered. You know what I mean? So, and I think we're breeding a culture sometimes where we look for AFIs to justify having authority, you know, and so even in, I have to be fully honest, even in your initial responses, like, hey, why did the Air Force touch this? I'm like, I think that's what our go-to is, and I think that's the problem that's making NCOs not be NCOs. Is we're always looking to the Air Force to say, hey, well, you got to write this down. You got to write this down so then we can enforce it. We can protect our airmen. Right. And we can go into another conversation where we're talking about the Declaration.
No, you're right. I get so for me, but so thinking back on this though, looking at, I don't want to say the era, but looking at the era, the NCOs I think that are coming up now, they either came up or they were. I know they definitely were around with the after effect of the big MTI investigation. And so I think during that time, it was like, man, I felt the airmen were like overly empowered in some areas to where it was like, man, I need some type of covering. And I think that it definitely, it is what it is. But then if you're in an office where it's so mixed with opinions, then to me, I'm looking for that guidance to help me, because everybody has so many, and this is something that goes on all the time.
And then I'm gonna let Mac jump in there too, man.
But you're right though when you say it's your responsibility to get the word.
I feel like, man, if you, as a supervisor, as a leader, if you've never had nobody complain about you, or you've never been in the DOX, or you've never had a situation where somebody's, talking about, I feel like you wasn't doing something right. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. Like, at some point, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, such and such is doing X," and you're gonna get a complaint against you. Right. But if you write, I always go back to supervisors. Like, if you write, you're right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, was that you? Oh, but go ahead, Matt.
So my thing is, I've been over here brewing. So first, personally, I hate when people use instructions to their benefit. So we have, airmen in general, I'm not going to even dictate which generation. People are like, oh yeah, why is the AFI this? Why is the AFI that? Why do I have to be, why does everything have to be structured? And then when I give you a MYI instead of AFI, and if you don't know what MYI is, my instruction, when I tell you to do something,
oh my goodness,
you don't want to listen. No, that's not how it works. As long as I'm in the bounds of using sound judgment and making a decision, I don't need an AFI for everything. AFI, what they say is an instruction. It's not a regulation. So it's like, if I tell you to do something like that's not illegal or immoral, which, hey, You need to either find it. You need to find some form of transportation to get to work. Nobody here is obligated to, transport you to work. Then I'm good to go. So my thing is, before work, those other airmen are still individuals. So him coming up on their space, like basically forcing himself in that car. If a dude would have did that when I was an airman, he would have got them hands, dog. And
No, I mean I get it. I understand.
They tried the right one because I would have been the wrong one.
My goodness, no, I understand. I get it, and I think the bottom line is, once you just tell that individual like it's their responsibility, you then hold them accountable, and because then at a certain point it is because I get if you first get there, let's all come together and help them like get it going, and then when you see they're not trying to get a vehicle, then it's all right.
And then he had other underlying issues like he in the CDCs for over a year, and I think all that is a trend. There's a difference between a person having an issue and having a problem, and a person being a trend. And she threw that extra factor in there. It's like, oh yeah, this dude he just wants to be a problem versus actually trying to get himself together.
And no gas. They didn't want to give up no gas either. I said no gas, my nigga.
I don't care if we're going to the same place.
Throw me a little gas.
I would do some petty stuff like let's go to the shop area and then send them inside to like get some gum or something. Yeah. And then leave. No. But nah, seriously, it's just I think from my opinion. It's like, man, NCOs, y'all can be senior NCOs. Like,
is that his or is that me?
Yeah, J-Will, you breaking up, J-Will.
He breaking up bad. I thought it was my mic.
Am I breaking up?
I don't know why we go through this when we going live. Yeah, you have to go up and down. Hey, so why you getting your mic? Oh, He gonna refresh. All right, so while he's doing that, you see what Abram said. I think that we as NCO should have the courage to say it's your. He's right. Yeah, we do. We need to have the courage to say this is your responsibility, and at the end of the day, just hold them accountable for that. And I definitely don't think that we should be, forcing folks to make them drive these, give a person a ride. Because I'm like at a certain point, they're individuals.
Another thing I feel like, when it comes into the realm of responsibility, also. Depending on your job and your AFSC, some people absolutely need a driver's license.
Yeah.
Being previous security forces, you'll have a situation where you only got like two dudes with a driver's license, so you got the same person that had to drive every time, and then people actually hate that. So they can't. Other people could just sit in a guard shack all day while they got to drive every time, or they got to go out on patrol, and it's like, hey, bro, like you need to get your driver's license. So,
no, I understand.
Readiness, I think it should be and you can, as a supervisor, you can point that out. Like, I need you to have a driver's license for readiness purposes. So you can cover up anything, honestly.
So I feel like if it's mandatory for their job, it definitely will be a requirement that's in there for them to acquire, but you got to get them some time with it. I do think for certain AFSCs coming in, not necessarily that they need to have it, because again, everybody's come from different walks of life. And so to actually take the test in certain spots, like what if they don't? There's folks that come in that are homeless, or they come in and they don't have that type of transportation to even take the test. You know what I mean? So I think there definitely should be some milestones and guidelines with it, but not necessarily mandatory.
J-Will, what's wrong with your joint?
Ooh, man. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna move on to the next one. So the next one was, if you could ask the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force any question, what would you ask? And so with this one, it definitely was another mixed bag of answers. And in these discussions, I think for me, if it's something I don't necessarily agree with, the thing that I learned the most that you can do in social media is just scroll. You don't necessarily like, this ain't my thing, I don't really care. You can scroll. You don't have to necessarily chime in. I think that's when it gets a little sticky, because it was, a little bit of disrespect. But and to be honest, I don't like those questions. So what's your take on that, Mac? because I don't know what's
So
going on with
ironically,
Jay.
2 people actually posted this question. Somebody actually denied the other one like 2 days ago, only because we literally just had
Yes.
the same question. But to me, questions like that, I understand where people want to get a feel for the room. People want to be seen. So some people like, hey, I want to gather a good amount of questions to ask, and then the people that sometimes comment where they like, hey, ask her how she's doing, and I'm like, bro, I understand what you're getting, but
It's
you're
the
not
obvious, but
I
yeah, that's the
I
obvious,
want to ask you how you're doing and then ask you a question. So
right?
like, just help the person out. Some people get starstruck. They'll freeze up. So if they got a pre-plan, like, hey, this is what I want to know. And also another thing is, not everyone has that opportunity. So if I can ask a question for you and you haven't gotten that opportunity to present that information, then it can help everybody else out. Me
Yeah.
personally, if I had to ask her one thing, ironically, it would actually be about the
Don't say
AFI.
beards.
No, it wasn't going to be about beards. So it's funny because
I'm
somebody
just playing.
actually, I made a joke about beards one day, and somebody sent it to her, and she laughed and then said,
Oh, I
basically,
remember that.
like, oh well, all right, cool.
Um,
But one thing I would ask her is, and I don't know if it's her realm or Congress, but the one thing I would do is ask her about a clear, defined AFI about the leave status, as it goes to parents, first caregiver leave, primary and
mhm.
secondary. That's the one thing I probably will ask for, more clear, defined, because going through the page and people asking the question about caregiver leave, I think that needs to be outlined. So that's the one thing I will ask from probably her and headquarters Air Force about giving actual guidelines about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does. I think that falls more with the Department of Defense. But yeah, I mean, I get it, and I guess it's like for the room, like for you, to me, because our group is so broad, I can see those like thought provoking questions for, the airmen, or if you're in a certain situation where certain individuals like. They think other individuals may have it easy, like for her job. I don't know how, but some folks may think that. Then it's if you, could ask this person anything, what would you ask them, kind of thing. I just think for our page, it's just not, we do all this stuff. So it was very much trending, and I know Jay Will has something very compelling to
Can
say.
y'all hear me? Can y'all
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Now it's good.
Is it
Yeah.
better?
Yes. A
You know
thousand
I'm stuttering?
times. You're not.
All right. All right. So fair enough. Now, mine's is easy because understanding, like I would want immediate change when I thought about this one was so y'all know how command chiefs, chief master sergeant Air Force, whatever, they make notes of things that are coming down. And normally
Mhm.
it's shared with other command chiefs. They say, hey, disseminate this. These are policy changes. These are things that are in the works. This is stuff. Now there's certain emails that go out and they say, hey, this is close hold. But there's other emails that come out that say, like, hey, disseminate to your folks. Um, that doesn't get to everybody. So I'm like, look, when we make these notes, and it's even for the command chiefs out there, when you make your notes and been like, hey, here's the things that are changing, here's the things. So like I think Mac, you posted like, here's some SEL, some AFA and
Yep.
SEL notes or whatever, right? I guarantee you that was sent to somebody and it was like, hey, disseminate,
And
squad leaders
it's
and
not
stuff like
disseminating it like down on our level.
it's
I get it.
not it's
Yeah.
so like user dependent, right? So and
Right.
then it could be filtered, it could be, oh well, they don't need to know this or whatever. So
Right.
you have hundreds, if not thousands, of airmen out there that are just like not getting information. So an
Right.
easy thing that I'd be like, hey, Chief Master Sergeant Air Force,
You gonna put that
command
on
chief.
her?
Look, I'd be like, hey, just communicate the message. This is what I'm asking. Communicate the message to disseminate of information. That's all I'm saying. Communicate the message of disseminating information. That would be my thing. And that's it. Like, you don't have to change no policy, no FI, no nothing. Hey, be an advocate for dissemination of information. And if anything, like a SharePoint, a my PERS message, like, here's my notes, here's my which card. Like, so that way you can put it on the airmen. They have to go over there and look. You know what I mean? Like,
The ones that don't look at my personal messages now.
Well,
Them.
I'm not saying,
Like,
but at least, but here's what
I'm
I'm
just,
saying. At
I'm
least
just
they
saying
don't
that.
have a complaint at that point.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have a complaint at that point. They're like, hey, the information's out there. Just because you didn't go look for it, then it is what it. But if it's stuck in somebody's email, then that's a different conversation, right? So, and I really believe like people would be, and for lack of better words, just happier if they knew the things that we were working on at Air Force. Y'all know that like we're privy to information, right? So let's just
Right.
be fully transparent. So we understand why decisions are being made, why things take a certain amount of time or whatever. And I just think if we gave more people that information, like it would just be so much easier and transparent. Even if it doesn't go through, like some things go in the works and then they'd be like, nope, it's not happening. But at least they know, hey, here's what got us to this point, and then whatever. So that long-winded of like, just hey, can we figure out a new way to disseminate what's in the works? Can we?
Well, as a person,
Absolutely.
as a person that spills the tea, low key sometimes, I actually disagree with you on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Why?
Because people, even when I posted that, people still found a way to down it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. Oh my God. And it's like, bro, just take the information, put it.
Yeah, I don't respond no more. Yeah, I don't respond anymore.
Box and just do what you want.
But so don't listen.
I was gonna say this though. There's so many. I was gonna say because there's a lot of people who don't that like need the information or really like has spoken to them where they're not going to be in the comments. And some of them, it's not until I work with them on other stuff where they're like, "Listen, you posted this so long ago, but that was like the little tidbit I need." So then that's when I was like, "Okay, so the thug thumbs, we just let them talk in the back, and there's no response to that, and we just keep it moving." But let's press because this next one is the one that Yancey had put up, and this is the one that was from the infamous Caitlin. I don't know her last name about weaponizing. This weaponizing the system, weaponizing the promotion piece. Go ahead, J. Will, give us a little backstory on that one, sir. Do you remember this? So you remember this one, right? So this one,
I remember this one. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember this one. So they talking about weaponizing success.
Weaponizing success.
Yeah. So my transparent opinion, I always told you I keep it 100 with y'all. I think it's a play on words. So I think it was a play on words, and I think we're trying to utilize it to justify inferior. Is that a good word?
Okay.
Actions. So or not cutting the mustard, you know. So one, weaponized, and I wrote it down. Convert to use as a weapon. What is a weapon? Weaponized is a thing used to design or design to inflict bodily harm. Like we're weaponizing success now. That's what we're doing when we go. And then to say, oh well, you know what I mean when I say that. Well, in the same difference on the opposite side of the coin, in the post, it was talking about the analogy where people give
with the cars,
take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
We say don't take your foot off the gas. I could have the same argument. You know what I mean. Don't give me this long explanation, right? And be like, oh, well, you have to take your foot off the gas sometimes. Like, you know what I mean. So it's the same difference of the weaponized success, if you want me to use it. And then as I go, my opinion is so long-winded in this one. As I go into like further in the post, when they're talking about some people just want to be a master sergeant and take care of airmen. Do you want to be a senior NCO? Because there's a lot of things in 2618 that you're supposed to be doing.
It's a lot of pages for us.
It's a lot of things, and those things include promoting professional and personal development.
Right.
Those things include esprit de corps. Those things include all of the same responsibilities you had as a NCO and junior airman. So, do you really want to be a senior NCO? Like,
well, I got a question for you. On that part. And the question I have is, I've seen this because I worked in a joint environment. I've seen this with the Marines. It's like they have two different tracks where an individual, and I know I may be saying the verbiage may be incorrect just because I'm not a Marine, but one side of the track, they'll have like a senior NCO who is like that SME, where they are in the weeds. They're not at that policy level or that level where they're writing reports and doing all this other stuff, like they're still senior NCO, right? And then you have the ones that we traditionally see. And so when this comes up, I'm kind of like, I've met some senior NCOs and some NCOs where it was like, man, they're really good at this. But then when it comes time to leading and being over folks and actually doing like writing the reports or writing the certain things, like that's not their lane. So then it's man, I know we don't do that over here, but is that something that we should consider? Where we have two different tracks where individuals are not in those type of leadership positions, but they can still be a senior NCO.
I'm not. I can call him K. Right? If y'all can go.
Can you? Because he's always going to be.
He told me
Got it.
last live.
Okay, he did.
So he was a big proponent of it. So he loved the construct. He loved the divine, and I would agree with that. If we had that promotion system to where, and then what you're talking about is they stay in the operational or administrative lane, if we had that construct, then I would be fully on board. I'd be like, you know what, you're right. You want to be a first sergeant. That's one of the ranks in EA.
Yep.
You want to be a first sergeant, or you want to be a gunny sergeant or a master sergeant, or a sergeant major, or whatever, right? Like whichever lane you want to go. If we had that construct, by all means, you want to do operations, and that is your lane. But we don't have that. But
hey Chief, look, hey Chief. Child. So we talking about Chief. So weaponizing success, the long post that Miss Caitlin put out there that went viral, and I will say this: there are certain individuals that do take it like literally, and when I posted, it resonated with me and I say this because how much we say, don't take your foot off the gas, right? Or when reports come up. And we go straight to the back and we look and we're like, well, hold on, sustained performance. Did this person, they didn't do this? So then it's what if that person did take a knee? Who is in their ear to tell them? Because I remember once when I wanted to take a knee, one of my mentors was like, so Kiana, this is a marathon and there's 4 quarters. You could take this knee, but in this 4 quarter, I need you to give me one thing, maybe 2. And then it was like, oh, so that's what you meant. So I then had to like reevaluate and think like, okay, so you don't mean literally. And I'm like, those are the nuggets that like, can you expound upon? But I did say I wanted to read this. So one of another mentor, Chief Hodges, retired. He texted me when I put it out and I said, this resonated with me. So he was like, I liked your post, but I'm gonna comment on it. So I want to read it out loud. So he was like using the same analogy that your friend used about taking your foot off the gas at the right time. That's taking care of yourself and your people doesn't always require full throttle ahead. And so he said, if anyone desires to be as a master, it's a personal choice. However, motivating and setting the highest goals for your people should be a constant no matter what. In the civilian employment world, they expect greatness, well-rounded, community involved, and dedication to people and teams as well. If the military didn't build that in its enlisted force across all services, we can expect it to be overtaken by our adversaries at any moment. All I know is, he's talking to me. You better not take your foot. He said, keep your foot planted and yourself focused. He was like, sounds like a great message to anyone that's looking for a great message to get behind anybody, any being except anybody that's trying to be extraordinary. So
I'm all about understanding the message and not the delivery. In this case, it was a long message.
But on the surface, did it resonate with you though?
In my mind, no, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
Because the message to me made it seem like, and this is going to sound fucked up, but go ahead and chill. And I understand that it didn't mean that, but some people will take it as that. So if I had to put it in context, if we're thinking to talk about like NASCAR, do they drive 150 miles an hour all the time? No, they don't. To bend the corner, you got to slow down. But you slow down in order to stay in the race. So slowing down in order to not hit that curve is fine. And that's what I get out of the message more than what other people got out of the message. Other people may look at that message and be like, oh yeah, let me just take this whole year off and I'll be good to go. you're not going to be. And it's going to mess yourself up in the long run. So you're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to take this leave for this year. And it's going to mess you up in the long run and end up messing you up more because now you're like, oh, one, I got to catch up. Now I got to go 200 miles an hour. Now, when I want to bend the corner, I can't bend the corner. I got to go faster around the corner. And you shouldn't. You should slow down
right
at the corner appropriately, which is in context. What I'm talking about is, taking that knee, gathering yourself, maybe a quarter, like you said, still applying that pressure,
right,
and continuing on with the race.
No, and I agree. And I think to me, this also just goes back to that first point. We all can see the same thing, and it means something different for each and every person. It's going to mean something different. And I think sometimes explaining or asking the person, like, what do you take from that when I say keep your foot on the gas? I think as leaders, we need to have that conversation to make sure that they understand. But also, we know there's individuals that will judge you if you do say you need to take a knee, even though that's what is preached at the top levels. We all know you actually trying to take a knee in some places. That's not, you can't. So then it's I need you to like go into details of what that actually means. You know what I mean?
Actually take that knee though. You can't just be like, oh yeah, bro, I'm not doing nothing else. You gotta know yourself. One, know where you can be stretched, and then you gotta apply that because you're the only person that knows yourself the most.
Also know who you're talking to.
Right.
So that's
know your
that's
folks.
the other piece. I agree with you in saying that everybody's not created equal, right? And I'm not the only one with loud drink. Everybody's not created equal. So if you're trying to come at a person and you already know how they're going to take it, or they are going to shun you or judge you or whatever, then you approach that situation differently. Like it's no different than anything else that we do in life. So I don't know. I personally don't prefer those type of analogies and posts, especially when you get into. I'm sorry, that's one of my pet peeves. I can have pet peeves. When I hear, I just want to be a master sergeant and take care of airmen. I think that was part of the post. I'm like, but do you?
It sounds like a cop.
Right. Well, he said, but do you
really?
Did you know what that means? It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's legit. And it's a lot at the baseline. We're not even talking about the things that you add on to the baseline, but like the meats category of senior NCO responsibility is like,
in the blue lab, I heard the blue lab making that brown a different color, and I don't like. They already seem crazy to me. Shout out to Chief Castile and Chief Blazer. Like I heard they cooking up something, and I'm like, when you actually read out loud what we're responsible for, it just is like, man, it's really a lot. Like I don't know, you really know, but I digress. Speaking of change,
I give you one.
Go ahead.
Let me finish up this one.
Not this hand.
I'm giving my. Hey,
right, yo, black. Okay.
Hey, I'll give you this one because I was just having this conversation yesterday, and I was trying to explain it to. I was like, hey, do you understand? It's actually your job to translate leaders' direction. Like, do you understand? So as you're saying, like, oh, well, they ain't telling us how to do this, or they ain't do you know that as a senior NCO, it's actually your job to translate?
And go get it.
Literally says
it's
your job to translate.
Maybe we should start posting that, like what's in the little brown book and what the words are. Like, what does that mean to you when you see this line? Because it's a part of our responsibility.
Really want to be a senior NCO? I'm not saying.
Because I thought I wanted just the cup. Because I felt like senior NCO, all they did was walk around with the cup until I said, you know what? I said it's a whole lot more than the cup. You getting that cup because you tired because you did this. Right. Listen,
it's funny you talk about pet peeves because my pet peeve is master sergeants and above saying, "Oh yeah, leadership told me to do this. Leadership wants us to do this." What the fuck is you all leadership?
Is he cussing? Like I feel like it's these cuss words that's coming out your mouth. You real comfortable today? Okay,
might be.
Let me clear the dust up. But I hate when they say that. Like leadership wants us to do this. You are leadership.
I get it. Speaking of what leadership wants us to do, we got new PT charts. So with the new PT charts, we're not gonna stay on this. You know, we're not staying on this long. So some things came down. Just go look on the page. It's I think we didn't really know what to expect. So when this is why I don't like when big announcements are made without all of the meat and potato, like give it to me all at once. So I think we all had, not we all, but folks out there had theories of what these tests were going to look like, because we already saw what the Navy did. They have the elliptical test. They got a couple of options. Then I said, man, planking for 3 minutes. I don't.
So, to give a quick one, it's just law of recency. Literally this morning for PT, we decided to do the new test. And
right.
We said, hey, we're going to go through it. We're going to run through it. We had somebody explain to us. And then we did it just as fun.
Right.
When I tell you, maybe one person would have passed.
Right.
It's maybe.
Yeah.
If you never did a hand release push up.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Let me tell you. And then, to try not to be funny, but people don't have the coordination for the
at all. They can't even march.
I'm like, so wait, they got to bring their legs up and then do this number, then bring their legs back down. Like, you should have seen the bicycles and the rolls and
that made me laugh.
But including myself, so not calling out none of my team. Like, it's legit. Like, respect to anybody who decides to do those components. But it was a beast. I would highly encourage anybody who's doing a unit PT or flight PT or even shop or whatever, just give it a run. And even for the shuttle runs, you don't even have to do them all. Like, try to max out. Just try to do 5 or 6. And
right.
See how it feels.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Just and then give us the feedback. Post on this, post on the page, whatever. Give us the feedback.
I'm just here for the shuttle run. That's all I'm want.
Can they bring the waist back? Like, I didn't think they was gonna take that all the way away, because she got a snatch waist. They didn't have to take it all the way away. Like, so no waist at all.
We need to go back. Don't do that, because we go all the way back.
We're not about to do this.
Huh? We're not.
The way that you completely annihilated anybody having the ability to perform an accurate waist measurement.
So fix them, right? So fix them. Don't take it. He said, fix them. Fix them, man. All right.
Go ahead. No, we ain't gonna press on PT. Check the page.
We're not.
Score try.
Yes.
We definitely want y'all to give it a try.
No, she got out a joke because she about to be done. That's why. Y'all about to be fit to fight. All right, so moving on, mentorship. So it seems like now that we have a new pool of airmen that are joining our group. Shout out to you all. We definitely love it. The question has come up about mentors and mentorship. And so on there, again, if something is not something you would necessarily do, scroll. We like 15, almost 16,000 deep. Just scroll.
We 16,000.
We 16,000 now? Okay. Yeah, just scroll. You don't just scroll. Just go ahead. You don't have to respond to everything ain't for you that come through. He's so silly. Must be a basketball thing. I don't look like antlers. It's about to be Christmas. Or like a turkey thing. That's what my baby into. I don't know what y'all was doing. So mentorship. So again, for me, now I will say this because we're bringing this up. We're talking about it. I'm a person, like, I look at mentorship like I do my friends, my relationships. I'm gonna have to look at you. We're gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to see what's going on, whatever. I'm not quick, because when I then release that type of vulnerability to allow you to speak into, my life and stuff like that, like, I need to see how you are. You know what I mean? And so to me, I have mentors for different spaces and reasons. And but I get it, because this is a new age. So being up there is cool. I think I don't want to say my biggest caution, but one of my biggest cautions is if you do it in a group setting like ours, there's so many facets of individuals. Some folks are not in anymore. And so with that, some individuals who miss it, they may give you some info where might lead you a little wrong, or they don't know how to be a mentor. Because everybody, just because you are a certain rate, that doesn't mean that you know how to be a mentor. There are things out there. My vector. I've gotten a lot of mentor requests. People want me to mentor. I'm like, you sure?
Yeah, you don't want this. So they'll say, and I didn't have this opinion until we had our last live with the fellows. Shout out to the fellows. Y'all
Yes,
kill it.
they
And the
did.
chief was on there, and he was like, he has mentors and he has coaches, right?
Yes,
And I think that's the line that we need to draw, and we need to put more emphasis on it, right? So a
yes.
mentor, I think you can literally pluck them and place them in any situation you're going on in your life, where not as personal, professional,
Right,
you change jobs, you PCS, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's a mentor.
facts.
That's somebody I can reach out to for whatever reason. Now, a coach is going to help me throughout whatever situation I'm going in, right? I PCS to this new location. It's a specialized unit. We do this
Mm-hmm.
individual task. I'm going to find somebody who's done that task before and
Right.
then utilize them as a coach to get me through that situation. But are they my mentor? Am I going to confide in them and tell them about my kids and they don't want to fold their clothes no more because they
Mm-hmm.
pulled them out the dryer when it was wet? I'm not acting like that's happening. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
So, but they, am I going to talk to them about all my situations? No. But in
Right.
that moment, in that position that I'm in, I know for me, and that's what I was trying to find the wording to kind of explain it. I've always done it, but I've never had the, I
The
guess,
words to go with
analogy
it.
or
Mm-hmm.
words to put along. But I would definitely encourage everybody to be like, hey,
I need a coach.
mentors, or do you need a coach? And if you need a
Right.
coach to help you out through a situation, a job, an opportunity, you're trying to apply for a special duty, like maybe your mentor was never an airman dorm leader.
Right.
Maybe you need to find an airman dorm
Yep.
leader that did it before,
Yes.
and that's a
Yes.
coach, but you don't need to have that line where you're like, everybody's got to be my mentor. Nah,
Right.
some people be coaches and put you through those
Yes.
moments.
Yes. Hey, shout out to Facebook user who I hope enables StreamYard so we can see who it is. But yes, situational versus universal is definitely a big difference. And when I'm telling you, like the new my vector, like they even so when I went back on my vector because I started getting emails of individuals asking me to be their mentors, it asked me to update certain questions and if I wanted to show certain things. You don't have to show it, but it asked if I wanted to show that I was divorced, that I have a dependent, I've been stationed overseas, X, Y, and Z. Because certain, then I was like, well, let me see what a mentee looks for. So I went in as if I was going to get one, and so it gave you options of like race, job area, even, and it let you put in names because I said, how are these people finding me? So it let you put in names, but also like if it drills it down. So again, I guess it's different things for different individuals, but or even if you were EFMP or had a Q code, so it's different things going. But yeah, but you need both. They definitely are situational versus universal, though.
I think one of the things you gotta realize is like the military is just like real life. We look at shows like what is it, Ayala Van Zant?
That's my girl.
She's a life coach. You're not about
Yes.
to be on her show and ask her about mentorship. No, it's strictly about things I want in life. And just like Jay Will said, you got to be able to separate those two. Now, your
Right.
mother, your father, somebody like that, that's going to be more of your mentorship. If I had to make it relative, because
What do you think? Hey, you have mentors that's not related though. Like I have core ones.
I said just to make it relative. I'm not.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Relatives. So
Yeah.
it's like me. The mentorship portion has to be more natural. Like
Yeah.
Now, I will say I do have a mentor. My first mentor was kind of unnatural because I didn't scope him out. I didn't like. Now I like. You come in around somebody, you find out the stuff that they talk about, whether they are credible and things like that, and then you like, hey, talk to them, have conversations, natural way. My first mentor was actually in an unnatural way. He pulled me in his office and told me, I need to get my shit together. So
yeah, that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah. So and I love him to this day, but it took that one initial one to realize that it's what I needed. And I think a lot of times, we talked about this before on I think it was the Airmen's panel when we said that some males are less likely because they feel like you feel less than or something like that. And me, I can honestly say that's how I felt. Like I'm not about to have nobody out here coaching me like I'm a little kid, a son of me. So I don't really need a mentor until I actually got one and realized, that changed the way my perspectives on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I hope that being us having those conversations and now hearing some of the airmen's perspectives of that, when we do cross paths with individuals who may be out there a little bit or whatever, out there bad or whatever the conversation is, us putting ourselves out there as leaders to make sure that they like, hey, you should tap in or get someone, or like having talks of it, because it wasn't until that moment with that airman that was on our panel that then it seemed like a lot of males, senior NCOs, and even NCOs who were like, well, I have mentorship, or I have mentors, and I do this, where it was like, we need that representation to speak up and say, this is a good thing for us, because it's not assumed. It shouldn't be assumed because of the way that it's looked, the way it's looked at nowadays with our airmen. A lot of them look at it like, if you got to ask for help, you're not ready. When that's so crazy. But then it's like, because we know that, then we need to have those conversations so they know, like, no, ask for help.
And I ain't gonna lie, I'm like kind of evolving, because like somebody asked me the other day, like, hey, Sergeant McCoy, can you be my mentor? And I'm like, it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, what are your goals? What is it that you want from me? And then I can tell you what I can do for you. Because I don't want to, you think you're going to, like, you want to go some whole other path, and I'm not necessarily, ready to tread those waters or whatever you're trying to do. Like, some people could be wanting to get out, but they still want to mentor. I don't know how to actually do that process or that path. I can give you the best advice that I can, but I'd rather you get somebody, that's more capable in getting that information to you. Or maybe been through it.
I hear you. Hey, shout out to Chief, because she is coming through. She said coaching doesn't eliminate mentorship, it enhances it. And I definitely agree with that.
Fact.
In Asia, it takes older men to speak about. She enabled right. It takes older men to speak about their experiences to show young men that getting mentored is where it's at. And that is so true. And I don't think y'all old men know the swag that y'all have.
Whoa.
Y'all consider old.
I'm the youngest person in here.
Yeah, I'm talking about to them airmen. You old. Come sit over here with us.
Hey, so
you can mentor them and help them find right. You can mentor them and help them find a coach.
Include yourself.
Matt.
Do you have more time left than you've done?
So she was talking about the men. I'm not a man, so she was talking about the older men.
Yeah. You talking about me or her?
No. Talking about? She said men.
So I just drawing it out there.
Y'all are uncles now.
I know.
Man. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this too. So then it's anybody who knows, like, if you do have folks that's gravitating to you, it's something about you. So then if it's like you don't know how to have it, and it's not towards you, Mac, in particular, but you don't know how to have that conversation, I'm saying that my vector, they actually have a little library and everything with free books, free websites, free things. It's just abundant.
If I'm an uncle, I'm the
try me today.
Say it again.
I'm just gonna tell you why them dudes tried me today in PT, right? So we going over the score sheets, right? And they're like, "Oh, sir, you need this one." And I was like,
"And yep, give it to me." I couldn't wait.
No,
that's the only time I'm old when you got them brackets in.
Hey,
right?
No, that ain't my score sheet, man. That ain't my score sheet. I need the other one, the one below that one. And they're like, "Are you sure?"
Right.
And I'm like, I don't forget my age, sir. I don't need that. I don't need the ancient one.
Give me that ancient one. Every time I got close to one, they changed the age bracket. They make it from the 5 to 10. Can't like leave it. So I could be like, woo, yes. All right, we done hit that enough. We done hit that with enough. All right, so the next one is mental health. So there was a post about mental health that was up there. And the post, again, so I felt like it was kind of a play on words. But the gist of it was us not really necessarily taking care of our folks or each other. And I do believe that there are some places that faces
unpopular opinion.
Absolutely.
Can I go ahead?
I'm
on fire. I might lose some people on this one. So to show my true age, I'm an 03 baby. So that's when I was birthed into the Air Force as 03. And so I would tell you that resiliency days, this is my honest opinion. So resiliency days when I came in we're all built around being able to navigate a difficult situation, right? Being able to come into a difficult situation, whether or not it's through team building exercises or whether or not it's being introduced into a scenario, and then being able to overcome that difficult situation, which and then build resiliency, right?
Right.
So we have switched. Tell me how your resiliency days go now.
We can't talk about COVID, like, but go ahead.
No, we're gonna tell you how they go. They go just like this. Hey, let's sit down and talk to each other. Let's figure out not how to deal with a difficult situation, but let's figure out how to avoid a difficult situation, to make a difficult situation never come about. Let's be fully 100. Like it is not what it used to be, and I think that that's hurting more than what it's helping. Like I think that we avoid difficult situations or conversations. And I think that I told you I was going to lose some people on this one.
No.
I think that as we talk about with mental health, I'm wrapping it back around. As we talk about mental health and stuff, I think that when you really talk resiliency, you have to build resiliency, and you build it through exercises that introduce difficult situations to individuals. And then you teach them how to get through those difficult situations. You don't teach them how to avoid, or they never come about. So as we talk about mental health and stuff, I'm not saying the conversations are not important. I'm not saying we shouldn't take a break and we shouldn't take a knee. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying, and we don't need to eliminate. We need to also and build or sharpen that tool as far as like, okay, when this difficult situation will happen, let's be fully honest. It will happen. When it happens, how do I approach it? How do I handle that situation? Because right now, in the last 5 to 7, I'm avoiding. It's not happening. How do we eliminate? That's been the focus. How do we eliminate? So that's me. In mental health, we talking about mental health. Hey, are you taking care of Aaron? Yes, I know me. If you want to give me a short answer, yes, I'm taking care of my Aaron. And I let them know there will be a difficult situation, and here's how we're going to get through it together. So A1.
Well, you see, AJ asks, have you been a part of the planning? Have you been a part of the planning?
We're not going to skip the snack.
Right. Oh, my child. Man, y'all pray for me, okay? Because my baby, like, he thinks that J. Will, Black, and Matt are his friends. So he wants to come over and talk, and that's not going to happen. He can go upstairs, go back to his business. So, look, MRC, they always looking for people. They wouldn't let me do it, Asia. They would not let me do MRC. I'll say this. So, I feel like there is some truth to what you're saying. I mean, not some truth. I agree with what you're saying, J. Will, with the caveat. The caveat for me, though, is because there's certain, for me, I'm like, man, we shouldn't have to tell people how to care that are in these roles, but we have these people that are there. So I get that we shouldn't, or it should be more, but because the Air Force that we're in, it's how do we then like catering to that? And because I'll tell you this, during this pandemic, when I tell you a chick been lonely, I can count on one hand how many times I've actually went into my job. And that's not, and then, you know what I mean? So people that are back at work, they're like, oh, you did, like they give you a hard time, and they don't understand when my boss is like, you will not come in. So then to come into a place where you feel isolated and alone, and right before that you were, and when we had these talks and they're talking, we don't even have cameras because of the nature of what I do. You know what I mean? So I'm disappointed in, I know we didn't have it for these last 2. If it was mandatory, child, I'm telling on different folks, but we didn't have anything. There was no conversation. And so I'm like, man, it's a little rough right now.
So both of y'all, and this is for everybody that's out there, are at different locations than me. So y'all are in different wings, y'all in different it? So because I see it on there, hey, are you planning it, or are you because you can just do it. Very true. Very true. Yep. Very true. I will ask this. In the last, I will go back 4 years. 4 years. Have y'all did, and honest answer, have y'all did any team building exercises where it's introduced a difficult situation and it's taught you how to navigate through that? And I'm not talking about an active shooter exercise or, whatever, but I mean like introduce like a mental health stressor, introduce something that you would have to overcome to build resiliency.
I say yes, but it was because of my job and because it wasn't offered the same way throughout the unit I was assigned to, but because of the nature of what I saw some extremely graphic things with people's deaths or people like in bad situations where we had to have folks come in to talk to us. But then once I moved into a different office, I was like, can we get y'all to come over? And they're like, no, you can't. We don't have a man in, but they had a man in to come. So I say that to say, even though I feel like if I was in a regular space where it wasn't the nature of my job, I wouldn't have.
What was the training? No, but I'm gonna go back to what was the training. So you had a thing. So what was somebody came in and talked to you? So they came in. Just give me the table of contents. What was the subject?
So the subject was on like the things that we saw, if it was triggering things or certain things that should have triggered us that didn't necessarily trigger us. How to decompress, how to actually turn your minds off, because at certain points, some of us was having nightmares of the things we saw. Then they was giving us certain exercises to have, and they certain therapies to actually ask to like go see and do outside of the military channels. And there was follow up with it. It was cool.
Fair.
So I actually I paired with the FTech Center here, and we introduced a new course called the Tough Conversations. You know, me personally, I'm all about that smoke. One part of the actual exercise, at the beginning of the class, I sit in someone's seat that is known, like this is the person's seat. Their stuff is right there. They go for a break, they come back, and Sergeant McCoy is sitting in their seat. And that's how I open up the conversation. And so no one has ever told me to get up out their seat. And so when I get up, I ask, like, you know, why haven't you had me get up from the seat? And they like, one, big black dude, so probably not going to ask me. And then two, because of the rank thing. And so I introduced, that's part of the conversation, is like tough conversations and navigate. What was essentially supposed to do is teach the airmen how to have those tough conversations with their supervisors, because it's going to happen. It needs to happen, especially when you're talking about feedback and, you know, how I feel as a person, not only as an airman.
Right.
So that information needs to be relayed, and they need to understand that they should be able to talk about it. I know here personally, when we're talking about suicide prevention and things like that, a person not necessarily from my unit, but, you know, in the compound in which I work, I don't know if y'all heard, but the dude that, you know, committed suicide out in DC, in front of the monument, he was actually from.
We ain't got to go in details.
Service. No. So what I'm saying that what I'm getting, you got to allow me to get around to that.
Okay.
When they talk about him, he had no warning signs.
Yeah.
So he was energetic, president of the top, the middle two. Like I said, for the energy, no signs, no depression, no signs of depression.
Yeah.
They said he was A1, good to go. So they was like, everyone was caught off guard, because I think a lot of times we're like, oh, how can we prevent suicides? And we feel as though every one of them is our responsibility, when people don't understand, like, you can put 100% effort in a person, but at the end of the day, some people, you know, and I'm not even on the all the way to the level talking about suicide. It could even be regular mental health issues that people are going to relate to.
No, we feel you.
So,
let me be clear before
because
I know you're going to change it. Let me be clear in saying that I believe in all conversations. So I truly do believe in understanding personalities. I believe in like when we talk about 5 lenses, or we talk about understanding to have conversations and to decompress and to take a knee. I completely agree with all those. I think all of them have weight effect, but I think you cap out at a certain point. And I think that to get to 100% of mental health, I have to introduce you to be fully transparent or resilient. I have to introduce you to difficult situations, and then tell you how you're going to navigate it. And I honestly think it's no different than, like, we just had an active shooter exercise. And it's like, look, understand that chances are there will be an active shooter. You need to understand this. There will be an active shooter. But here's what's going to happen if that situation, like when it happens, right? If you're still here or whatever. So it is, that's the part that I'm like, to get us to 100%.
I see what you're saying.
Let's just not focus on one. Let's just make sure we're still capturing all the aspects of being fully resilient.
Right. And so it's not just preventative, but reactive to, like, in a true scenario, this is what you're going to do. And so to piggyback, like a better words, off of what Mac was saying, it does not have a face. Those stressors don't have a face. And a lot of times it is a be kind to everybody, because we'll have these conversations and people will chime in about all these great things that they'll do. And these will be the same ones, the same thug thumbs that's rude on these posts where I'm like, we spending more time online than like in person, where it's like that being kind costs nothing. It costs nothing to be polite. And y'all know how I feel about that. So, and as we move into that whole the military member, we are our Air Force's greatest asset. So we do have something in the works that we have already put out there, where we are bringing on Chief Castile, where he will be having that type of conversation, because we have been in this type of, posture in this place. And so it's going to be Tuesday. So I hope you guys join us on that, because it's definitely going to be something to remember. So one of the last things when we wrap it up, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's not going to be live streamed.
No.
It's not going to be recorded. This is a conversation for you to be at, a safe space for you all. He if you've never heard him talk, phenomenal
Absolutely
speaker, and definitely this is his subject to speak on. So if you want to be in a space that is not live recorded, that is not going to be blasted all over social media platforms and used against you if you have an opinion, then I definitely recommend that you attend. So
that's the human weapon system. Yes, the human weapon system. And so I think that might be a buzzword that's going around. It's been around for a little bit, right? And that's definitely just us in that mental space, and us being in this type of like environment. It's going to take a toll on us, and it just having that little tune up, that little check in. So y'all, we will definitely be dropping another flyer and commercial, as y'all are starting to call them. We're just trying to step our game up a little bit. So be on the lookout for that, y'all. Make sure we just plug it and push it all over. So the last thing before we wrap this up is the fellowship part 2. So earlier this week, Jay, Will, and I, we were a little busy this week. And so if you all remember, we had our live session, our panel session last week with fellowship, the legislative program, the enlisted folks, the enlisted side. So just to recap on that, Jay, Will, go on and take it away for the fellowship part.
Which one?
So we had a conversation. So part 2.
Nah, so what we did,
Lord,
we grabbed all y'all's comments and questions, and we consolidated all those. So sometimes we get into these conversations, and they can be kind of long with it, right? We got opinions, we got whatever, but we wanted to ensure that we hit you all's questions about the program, about the processes, right, about how are people selected, what's in the application, what can they expect in their day-to-days in every phase. We even had a reservist that was on there that talked about the reservist side and how they get selected and go through the application process and what to expect and their commitment time frames. And then, so like, when I tell y'all, like, so many questions were answered within a short amount of time frame, that it was very deliberate in its intent. Where sometimes y'all don't want to hear our opinions, y'all just want to get the information. Then definitely when we post that is the plug that you want to watch. So if you're interested in the program at all, and then the plug that I got to give for them is any AFSC, literally any AFSC can apply. And I want to say we had a chief on there because there's big the one specifically that did not have a TS clearance prior to getting selected. Because that's another thing, like, hey, you just have to have the ability to get one. So they're plugs for the future and what the direction of the program is going. Because we had questions about that, like what to expect in the future. I mean, they gave us all the juice, man.
They did. They definitely didn't disappoint. Yes, they definitely didn't disappoint. And so, as Jay was said, when we had our first session, there were so many comments that was during that live. And so they actually went back and answered all of them. But there was just so many that was coming outpouring. And some of the information they were given, we're like, man, this needs to be said again. So we got a rapid fire. It will be dropping tonight. So if you had a question or if you still are interested, I believe the application doesn't close out until the end of this month. Don't quote me, but it's on AMS. But definitely tune in, because every question that you are asked, they answer it live. So please. I think that's it. Matt, you got
Yeah,
anything?
Just want to say thank you for everyone's continued support. Like we said earlier in the live, we just hit 16,000.
What does that look? What's the face look like? Oh, that's child. Look. Oh, shout out to Chief. Chazzy. The
nice
alpha,
outfit.
hey, because I missed it on his get up. I missed it. And so our reservist, she was an AKA. So to see the Divine Nine represented up there definitely made my heart extremely happy. So
Hey,
yes.
so remember earlier too, and I'm gonna plug him out. So remember earlier, y'all. I don't know if he was listening, but I gave him
Yes.
the plug for the coaches versus mentors.
Yep.
Uh,
My bad.
this was the plug right
Yes.
here. So if you want some insight, or if you want to coach or mentor, I would highly suggest it.
Facts.
Jamal. So I'm gonna go with Jamal until I meet him in official capacity. So they because when I tell you he had some nuggets
He
that
was dropping them.
just dropping them, just flowing like they
Yes.
just it just
Yes.
comes natural. You know what I mean? So let me
Yes.
stop riding for a while and then
Hey, he said works for him. Hey, so shout out also to Asia. Chief always represents. Chief Weatherspoon always represents, and so does CC. I think, but Asia gives me a good idea. I don't think a lot of people are even aware of MRTs. Are you all aware of MRTs? I'm putting y'all on the spot. Have you heard of an MRT? What's the
yeah.
MRT?
So I'm actually
I'm an
trying to get the
assistant to Martin.
plug. Yeah,
Huh?
I'm trying to get the plug to get to the schools to get one of my individuals to the school. I have a good one. So
the 8 Bravo 300, the new AFSC, we had to go through the assistant MRT course because the ones at the academy are MRTs. So
Okay.
we had to go through the course, so I'm assistant MRT.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tap on with her. I know she also went to the training and stuff for it, and she's a huge advocate and a SME. I think that's definitely a conversation worth traveling down, especially with us having our solid hashtag that is coming out. So we're gonna have this TikTok hashtag challenge that's going to come out. You know, we see it. So I need the ones like Chief Chesney. I need y'all while y'all throwing up them sixes. I need y'all to be putting out this hashtag that's gonna come out. I don't understand what's going on here, but okay. Look like reindeer antlers.
just let me live.
Right. All right. Anything else before we wrap this up?
You didn't let me finish my shout out.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead with your shout out. My apologies, sir.
I would like to thank everyone for coming on, continuous support, and just keep riding with us for real. That's all I got to say.
Keep riding. Do you want to bring up our next hot wash?
Nah. We're gonna let that one.
I knew he was gonna say no.
Nah, we're gonna let that one. We're gonna let that one stew. But
All right.
but when I tell y'all the next two hot washes, you don't want to miss. So I want to say it's gonna be the 1st of December and then the 10th of January. Our next two hot ones. When I tell y'all, you don't want to miss these.
Man.
You don't want to miss these. I know we say that
because
for
I
all
don't
of
even
them,
know.
But all of them been good. Like, and so Chief Weatherspoon, she set the bar extremely high. Chief Riley didn't disappoint. And then our the chief that was, I can't even call her name right now. I feel bad saying that. She was on that bite and she was dropping them nuggets on the reserve side of the house. We had some heavy hitters, and so these next two are crazy. So
I'm Chief Major. Like
Chief Major. I couldn't pull her name. Chief Major.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. She was definitely dropping those nuggets too. So
yeah.
All right, y'all.
So I know for me, y'all, as we're wrapping it up before we get off this live, is always super humble for anybody that rock with us. Anybody that came on for 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever the case is, man, y'all rock with us. We rock with y'all. We do this for y'all. We always want y'all to know that this is your space. This is your area. This is where you can be open and honest and feel nice. So like as I see posts come up, is like, hey, I need a mentor. Like I just feel super humble that somebody feels like that's a good space to ask for, and then to get good responses from. You know, it's so many groups out there and just negativity in social media, that for us to have a space where somebody feels comfortable enough to come on there and legitimately put themselves out there and be vulnerable, man. I'm just super humble that we was able to create this space. And so we want to continue this consistently. So we do this for y'all. Always, any feedback is super welcome. If there's anybody that I want to see on here, please just hit up any of the admin. Key's the most
Hit us
gullible one,
up.
so we definitely would say go that way. But then anybody
Okay.
else in there, y'all can hit them up, man. Nah, but seriously, hit us. Anybody you see on that admin list, hit us up. Say, hey, I want you to connect and get this person on live. I think they'll be good. They got a good opinion. Or if you just want to hear from them, if you don't even know that individual, like I'm pretty sure there's a way that we can connect with them. So we do this for y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with us as always, man.
Anything, Mac, before we go?
0.
All right. Thank y'all. Catch you on the next one.